And it's that magical time of year again. Time to get those checkbooks out and donate all of our money to King Gaben. The games are all divided up by category and ranked good to best. Let's get right into it. Shooters. Ion Fury. Ion Fury is a great little boomer shooter that would make the Duke proud. Don't try Phantom Fury, its sequel, it's not that good. Far Cry 5 and 6. If you've played 1, you've played them all. But I especially like the setting of 5, with the crazy Midwestern redneck cult. 6 is pretty good too. Dishonored 2. Another underrated classic. You're a supernatural assassin, complete with teleporting abilities, mind control, and all-devouring rat swarm summons. If the assassin's job doesn't work out, you can always work as a rat catcher. Borderlands 3. Guns, weird guns, big guns, crazy guns, ridiculous guns, just a whole lot of guns. System Shock. 2 words, AI and psychopath. This game makes you think twice about all the recent progression in AI tech. Prey. Yes, there are a lot of games from Arcane on this list. I still can't believe Microsoft shut them down. This is basically a space horror shooter with some great abilities, like Mimic, so you too can become a potted plant. I can finally cross that off the bucket list. Fear, the collection. Alma, the misunderstood paranormal bad guy, or girl I should say, is still creepy and badass as ever. And even to this day, the slow motion and amazing enemy AI makes for a great shooter. Wolfenstein, the collection. Shooting bad guys in the face never gets old. Also, Wolfenstein 2 has one of the most amazing scenes. I won't spoil it for you, but I'll say this. Audition. Deathloop, the most recent game from Arcane, and I would argue it's best. You're stuck in a time loop, and every time you die, you start from the beginning, except that you learn just a little bit more about its world. Till in the end, you're an untouchable whirlwind assassin blasting through each level. It's really good. Doom Collection, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are some of the best shooters ever made. When you're on a roll, it's a ballet of gore and death. All the times you're just dead. Bulletstorm, arcadey, over the top, with some really good epic set pieces. And best of all, it has an awesome and completely nonsensical voiceover by the man himself, the Duke. Just for this, it's worth a pickup. The BioShock series, shooter of shooters. Be it in an underwater utopia or above the clouds collapsing society, these games are all great. If you haven't tried them yet, now's your time. 4X Grand Strategy. Hearts of Iron. Grand Strategy meets World War II, and amazingly complex. This one will take you weeks to figure out. Age of Wonders 4. Think Hearts of Iron but with elves and magic. More high fantasy. 4X with really cool races to play as, sadly many of them behind DLC. Civ 6 Anthology. The original granddaddy of Grand Strategy. Get this one to brush up before number 7 comes next year. Crusader Kings 3. If you didn't think Hearts of Iron was complicated enough, give this a try. Total War Warhammer 3. What happens when you put Grand Strategy and real-time strategy together? One word, magic. Stellaris, the undisputed king of Grand Strategy, basically a space story generator. If you buy this plus all the DLC, you can virtually play forever. Open world action adventure, Watch Dogs Legion, dystopian open world in Great Britain plus hacking. I didn't enjoy the character switching, but it ain't bad. Star Wars Outlaws, I really wanted this to be better, but it's passable. Starfield, well, what to say about this one? Basically Skyrim in space. I just wish you could freely take off and land like they did in No Man's Sky, where they did it right. Days Gone. If you've ever wanted to be a biker during the zombie apocalypse, this is your game. Also, great zombie hordes, pretty darn creepy. Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Since Black Flag, Assassin's Creed has slowly been declining, but I have to say they made a pretty good attempt with Odyssey. Ghost of Tsushima. Totally badass samurai game with terrible stealth gameplay. On the flip side, amazing battle systems. Hogwarts Legacy. The original Harry Potter simulator, without Harry Potter. Watch Dogs 2, the best of the series. Much deeper hacking gameplay and just an overall great open world game. Shadow of Mordor. This is where you prove that you're better at hacking up orcs than Legolas and Gimli. Kingdom Come Deliverance. If you need more reasons to be thankful we're not living in the Dark Ages. Basically, Grand Theft Auto in medieval times. And you can be a monk. Also no cars in case that wasn't apparent. Horizon Forbidden West. Dinosaurs and robots. Great combination. Fallout 4. We talked about Starfield earlier. This is where Bethesda got it right. The Fallout world is so rich, detailed, and interesting. Even now, all these years later, it's still worth going back to. Mad Max. Such an underrated gem, this one. Pimp you ride and survive in this open world wasteland. Plus, it has great combat. Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Oh yeah, the pinnacle of the Assassin's Creed series. I mean, after Pirates, obviously things could only go down from there. Batman Arkham Knight, City, and Asylum. All 3 masterpieces. But if I'd had to choose, I'd still go with Knight. I know. Controversial. Skyrim. Bethesda in top form. One of their best games ever. And that vampire DLC, so epic. Such a great game. Spider-Man and Spider-Man Miles Morales. The Batman games are more badass, but the total freedom you have swinging around as Spider-Man in this beautifully realized New York City is unparalleled. Red Dead Redemption 1 and 2. Red Dead 2 is an incredibly slow game and it takes a lot of time to get into, but once it clicks, it clicks. This game is so incredibly immersive, and being part of the Van der Linde gang was one of the greatest video game journeys I've ever made. Witcher 3 Complete Edition, same as Red Dead 2. The world, the lore, the story, and of course, Geralt of Rivia. Such an amazing game. Coming back to this world with its many side quests, decisions, exploration, and discovery is always a joy, even after finishing the game 3 times. Cyberpunk, what can I say? I'm a sucker for a redemption story, and Cyberpunk is that. Then with the 2.0 update and Phantom Liberty, they made it even better. Walking around in Night City is just amazing. And the fact that it's first person makes it just a bit more immersive than even The Witcher and Red Dead 2. City Builders Against the Storm. If you enjoy the start of a city builder game, this is for you. Reclaim the wilderness and try to survive. Very interesting. Cities Skylines. They don't come more city builderish than Skylines. Don't buy the second one. The first one with all its DLC has everything you'll ever need as a growing boy or girl. 2 Point Hospital. I love the 2 Point games. They're easy to pick up, but get quite complicated if you let them. Build a hospital or campus. Either of these games is great. I can't wait for 2 Point Museum next year. Prison Architect. Designing, managing, and ruling your prison is so much fun. Will you be a benevolent ruler or rule with iron fists? Max a security prison or maybe blue-collar crimes only? It's all up to you. Rimworld, and in a well-deserved first place. Designing a prison is great, but surviving and settling a colony on an alien planet takes the cake. There's no question about it. The setup alone is so much more interesting. Giant robot aliens, killer squirrels, crazy vegetarian cults. It's all in here and everything's up to you. Horror Survival, Layers of Fear. Not the best horror game out there, but it's one of Bloober Team's earlier works. It's eerie, and the premise of a painter going insane is interesting. Sons of the Forest. If Survivor had cannibals and monsters, I would definitely watch that season. Resident Evil 7 and Village, both great games. I especially love how 7 went back to the more traditional survival horror, and 8 has of course Lady Dimitrescu. The Dead Space remake, one of the great remakes of our time, although I have to say the original still plays great. This is one freaky game though, give it a play if you haven't. The Evil Within 2. Open world plus survival horror with great stealth gameplay. This is a one of a kind and I only wish we'd ever see part 3. Alien Isolation. I'll never stop promoting this game. What an underrated gem. The alien itself is one of the scariest monsters in video gaming history. How it stalks you at every point is amazing. The Last of Us 1. The opening of this game is so heartbreaking it almost made me want to give up. This is so much more than a basic survival horror game. One of the best games Sony has ever created. Silent Hill 2, the remake. Nobody thought it could be done, but Bloober Team did an amazing job with Silent Hill 2, the remake. The perfect amount of touch-up and changes with lots of new material. It's like your wife just got a boob job and butt lift, and it's all the same but also new again. It's very interesting. The Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake. Clearly the second one is high on the list, but 3 isn't bad either. When we think remakes, it's these games that have set the bar. And then Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 really didn't need a remake, but now that it's here, I'm glad they did it. What a game. Platformers. Blasphemous 2 is a deviously difficult Souls-like platformer not for the faint of heart. I'm faint of heart. Sonic Colors Ultimate. What's there to say? It's classic Sonic, but remade, with some extra stuff. Volga the Viking. Platforming with a Viking, and it's really hard. And he has magic. It's all historically accurate too, by the way. Animal Well. Very recent addition in the platforming genre. Great puzzle platformer with a horror vibe. Sackboy. This little platformer from Sony has some of the most creative level designs in any of the games on this list, and it makes great use of music too. Try it. Hollow Knight. I know I'm going to get into trouble for putting this so low on the list, but hey, it's here and it's great. Just not as great as some of the other games on this list. Castlevania The Dominus Collection. 3 amazing Castlevania games for the price of 1. Dawn of Sorrow, Portrait of Ruin, and Order of Ecclesia. 2 of which are great, and I'll let you fight that out in the comments. Cuphead. I've definitely never finished this game. It's way too hard for me. But I like to imagine that one day I will. It's that good. I'd love to see the rest of this game. Battle Block Theater. Funny platformer about cats crash landing on a prison island, having to platform and fight their way out. Each level has its own interesting hooks and mechanics. Oh, and did I mention how funny this game is? Ratchet & Clank. I believe this is the only 3D platformer on this list. But hey, this is my list, and Ratchet & Clank Rift in Time deserves to be on here. If Pixar made a platformer, I imagine it'd be something like this. Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. This is the Donkey Kong of platformers on PC. Rayman Legends. I've had so much fun with this game. Creative level designs, amazing graphics, lots of fun different types of mechanics for each level, and there is so much content. It's crazy. You can play this game for months. Roguelikes. Risk of Rain 2. We're on the roguelike section of the list now, and I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like this 3D platformer shooter roguelike. Sometimes I have great runs, and other times my Steam Deck goes through the window. What kind of day will it be today? Let's find out. Returnal, one of the first story roguelikes, and it's also super hard. I never even got past Pike, the first boss, but even so, it's a great game. Rogue Legacy 2. First one was great and one of the original platformer roguelikes. The second one expands and improves upon everything. Into the Breach. As far as I know, Subset Games has only made 2 games. This one and the next one on the list. Both are amazing roguelikes. The premise of this one is as follows. Worlds are being invaded by giant kaijus and you stand against them with your mechs. The hook, every enemy move is telegraphed and it works surprisingly well. FTL. Subset's first game and one of the best roguelikes out there. Carry a message of vital import across war-torn randomized galaxies, all the while being chased by the rebel fleet. Slay the Spire. What I love about roguelikes is how different they all are. Slay the Spire, as I'm sure most of you are aware, is a deck builder card battler and a great one at that. Spelunky 2. Before Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, this is the best way to act out those Indiana Jones adventuring fantasies. All in 2D platforming style and roguelike fashion, of course. Balatro. Took me a long time to get into this one, and it took the Android release to really get me hooked. But now that it clicked, it really did. There's no wasted moment I don't pull out this tricky poker-style roguelike to make a couple of quick moves. Dungeon of the Endless. But however good Balatro is, I love Dungeon of the Endless. A completely underrated roguelike. You crash land on an alien planet and fight your way out of progressively harder dungeons. Your power source can only light up a certain amount of rooms, and which ones you turn on becomes a puzzle of vital import and survival, because what comes out of those rooms will most certainly try to unalive you. The Binding of Isaac Rebirth. Not much needs to be said about this one. Just the sheer amount of rooms, items, enemies, and bosses in this game is staggering. What a game. Monster Train. Bet you didn't expect this one in second place, especially over Isaac. But it is so good though. This is another deck builder card battler. You and your train of monsters are on their way to reignite the fires of hell, while the forces of heaven are trying to stop you. Did I mention you're the bad guys here? Maybe that's why I like it. Hades. We all know that in the roguelike category, Hades had to finish on number 1. There's no way around it. Escape the depths of the underworld and the clutches of your father Hades. All the while uncovering the very deep plot. And die. A lot. To uncover it. RPGs. Bravely Default 2. On to the RPG section. I have to be honest, I don't play as many of these as I should because of time commitments. But Bravely Default 2 is a fun, very classic turn-based RPG with an interesting risk-reward system where you either save battle points to use them later, or use them all now in a single turn and take down your enemies in one fell swoop. In theory. Persona 3 Reloaded. Yes, there's of course a few Personas on this list, and this remake of Persona 3 is excellent. And on sale. Live Alive. I didn't think I was gonna like this, but I ended up loving it. The different characters you play, all in a different time period and place with completely different mechanics, are really well fleshed out. Great game. Octopath Traveler 2. In a way very similar to Live Alive. You also play multiple different characters that all eventually meet up in each other's story. This one also has the cool HD 2D style. Just a great classic RPG. Wasteland 3, RPG of a completely different ilk, more in the vein of Baldur's Gate 3. Openish world exploration combined with turn-based tactics battles. And of course, lots of trait and perk picking. Persona 5 Royal. Shouldn't come as a surprise to find this one on the list. Just an amazing RPG. Metaphor ReFantasio. You take Persona 5 and upgrade pretty much everything, you get this game. So naturally it's higher on the list. Divinity Original Sin 2. I love this game so much. Such a great story of banned magic. When this magic is used, void creatures appear in the world. So naturally they ban everybody with this type of magic to a single prison colony because naturally that's the thing to do. And this is when your story starts. This is basically Baldur's Gate 1.0. If Baldur's Gate 1 wasn't Baldur's Gate 1.0. Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, what else were you expecting on number 1? Larian Studios also created number 2, both amazing tactics RPGs. Third-person action adventure, Hellblade 1 and 2. And the prize for the prettiest game goes to Hellblade 1 and 2. But aside from that, they have some really good things to say about mental health. Oh, and also, the games aren't too bad either. All the Kingdom Hearts numbers are on sale. 3.14, 8.6, 2.5. I love these games and their ideas, but the story is just too whack. And that's saying something, coming from me. Dragon's Dogma 2. I was a huge fan of the original. Epic monster battles in an open world that was truly unpredictable. The second one is not so much a sequel as it is a reboot of the original. It's good, but it has a lot of, let's just say, character. Or maybe oddities is a better word. Lies of P. Another Souls-like for the books. But the premise of this one is interesting. You're Pinocchio and all the puppets have gone crazy. Diablo 4. Now is the perfect time to get into Diablo 4 since they just released the Vessel of Hatred expansion. And guess what? It's on sale. what a coincidence. Monster Hunter World. Hunting epic monsters has never been as cinematic and, more importantly, accessible than in Monster Hunter World. The pages and pages of stats for each weapon, monster and armor in the old games still gives me nightmares. Or maybe that's this one. Yeah, that's definitely this one, but it's much better than it used to be. Metal Gear Solid: The Master Collection Volume 1. 5 absolutely classic games in one collection. The Metal Gears and 3 first Metal Gear Solid games. Konami is really killing it this year. Devil May Cry HD Collection and Devil May Cry 5. Kicking ass as the cocky Dante has never looked better. All the Devil May Cry games, except for maybe the second one, are great. But I especially love the 5th entry, where they don't just let you play as Dante, but also as Nero and V, and all of them have wildly different fighting styles. Gears 5. If you're into epic monster set pieces, explosions, fast action, and men that look like they could lift your car and break it over their knee, this is the game for you. I have to say though, I didn't really enjoy the ending of this game very much. Final Fantasy 16. Square Enix really hit it out of the park with this one. Great battle system, good characters, and amazing story. Plus, it doesn't look half bad either. And it even runs pretty decently on the Steam Deck. Imagine that. Star Wars Jedi Outcast and Survivor. My 2 absolutely favorite Star Wars games. Gal's journey from noob Jedi to absolute overlord, mopping the floor with anybody who stands in his way, is great. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Oh man, this is probably one of my favorite games this year. What's better than riding in a tank? Being the tank. A tank with a massive chainsaw sword. The Tomb Raider franchise. What Tomb Raider does best is escapism, taking you away to some faraway locale into ancient dangerous ruins with traps that could impale you at any moment, treacherous mountain peaks to frozen underground caverns. It all feels so adventurous. It's great. Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. Another one that needs very little discussion. My only question, when does Part 2 come to PC? Uncharted Legacy of Thieves. See Tomb Raider ×2. God of War 1 and 2. It's amazing what Sony has done with these games. Taking Kratos, the groin-stomping, unredeemable killing machine only out for revenge and personal gain, and changing him into an almost likable dad who cares for his son and grieves for his dead wife. It's one of the best reboots of gaming ever. Both of these games are absolute classics. Mass Effect Legendary Edition. And that makes this the #1 for third-person action adventures. The original Mass Effect trilogy is still BioWare's greatest accomplishment. Yes, it's even better than Dragon Age. Don't try to argue. I mean, can you romance an alien in Dragon Age? I think not, sir. Tactics Ogre. I know, it's not the best tactics game out there. It's not even the best Tactics Ogre port. That honor goes to the PSP version. But I still had a lot of fun playing through this. A decent turn-based tactics game. Tactical Breach Wizards. This one was a surprise. It shows us what kind of magic and fireworks you get when you combine SWAT with Wizards and XCOM. And let me tell you, it's glorious. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza games are always weird. Weird characters, side quests, minigames, and I think that's only gotten worse when they turned this game into a turn-based tactics series. But I don't hate it. In fact, I kinda like it. Plus, have you heard? For the next entry will be Yakuza Pirates. I mean, I have to try that. Battletech. This is hands down the best giant mech turn-based strategy game. If you're looking for XCOM with mechs, this is it. The mech customization options in this are absolutely insane. And there's of course Warhammer 40k Chaos Gate. When boot meets ass, you can be sure the Grey Knights are involved. Listen to this, a secret and mysterious chapter of the Space Marines, specifically tasked with combating the dangerous demonic entities of the war. If the Space Marines weren't badass enough, this is a secret special chapter. Battle Brothers. Turns out setting up a mercenary company and keeping it up and running is much harder than it looks. I dare you, give it a try. Phoenix Point. When I made my 11 best XCOM-like games video a few months ago, I erroneously left Phoenix Point off my list. Boy, did I regret that. Every other comment on that video tells me how wrong I was for not including this game. But I'm here to tell you that I've seen the error in my ways. Phoenix Point is a great XCOM-like game that should have been on the list. Marvel's Midnight Sun. But I also still stand by the fact that Marvel's Midnight Sun is an amazing turn-based classic that also deserves to be on that list. I got yelled at about that one too. South Park The Fractured But Whole. The game with the best name, and thus deserves to be on this list. The XCOM 2 collection. Many of you probably think XCOM 2 should be on #1, but I disagree, and you'll soon see why. Great game though. Darkest Dungeon. Here's why XCOM isn't on #1. I accept your apologies now. And now the miscellaneous round where you'll find the most random of games. Starting with Need for Speed Unbound. Not the best racing game, but very enjoyable and on a good sale. Battlefield 2042. Because we need some multiplayer games on this list, and it's pretty much the only one I've played in recent memory. Street Fighter 6. Now this one is pretty darn good. Fast, fun, and very technical fighter. Which means I suck at it. Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy Ace Attorney. If you've dreamt about becoming a lawyer, but you have a fear of public speaking, Life is Strange 1 and 2. I don't even know what to call these games. I think it's a narrative adventure game, or in the common tongue, a walking simulator. But don't let that stop you, because the stories these two games tell are emotional indeed. It Takes Two. This is a crazy fun co-op multiplayer platformer. You really have to try it to believe it. Ace Combat 7. Top Gun, the game. I call Goose. Mortal Kombat 1. It has Homelander and is going to get Conan the Barbarian and the T-1000. Just amazing. Ghost Trick, Phantom Detective. This is an odd puzzle adventure. You just died and you need to solve your own murder. As a ghost. And you have limited ability to touch and move things. Really fun. Shadow Gambit. They call this game a real-time tactics game, which basically comes down to a stealthy RTS game. Also, this has pirates. Ghost pirates, in fact. How can I resist? Helldivers 2. This was amazing, like playing Starship Troopers, till Sony started messing around with it. Thanks a lot, Sony. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2. It's Puyo Puyo and Tetris combined. If you thought Tetris by itself is addicting, try this. Also, give the Tetris effect a try. I never thought Tetris could be immersive. Reus 2. Another puzzler, but a god game this time. You need to shape the world and grow humanity with the help of your 3 trusty titans. Combine tiles of flora and fauna into new, better tiles, but be careful because not everything works well together. Castle Crashers. Go save the princess and be the hero in this funny but surprisingly difficult beat-em-up. And also Vampire Survivors. I never thought I'd enjoy a game where the only thing you can actively do is walk around, but here we are. The Quarry. Another choice-based narrative game. And be warned, your choices can get literally everybody killed in this one. The Command & Conquer Collection. Only the best real-time strategy game ever created. I still remember the sleepless LAN parties I used to have with Red Alert 2. The Instrument of Doom. Dave the Diver. By day you dive, by night you manage a sushi restaurant. Thronebreaker. CD Projekt Red only makes amazing games. Point and Case, Thronebreaker. They expanded the Gwent game into a card battler complete with epic showdowns and even some cameos of the Witch themselves. And on first place in the Miscellaneous category, we have Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Yes, another survival game. But in this one you also get to take down walls and dig for minerals. It's cheap and absolutely worth your time. And that's it. I'm not sure how many deals there was. It's likely I can't even count that high. Check here for the 11 best survival games, including Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, and check here for the 11 best XCOM-like games, both chock full of games that are currently on sale. And I hope to see you in the next one.